Tonight, uncertainty over marking and processing of basic education certificate examination papers, which got underway today, as WAEC warns lack of full government funding may truncate its ability to issue results.
For now, we've been able to print, we are conducting, but for marking and processing, we may not be able to complete that because we'll need more funds.
Meanwhile, at least 4 people have been arrested by the police for allegedly engaging in examination or practices in the ongoing BECE.
The candidates in the central region, Dunkonofin, to be specific, we've picked up 2 people who were answering the questions in the middle of the paper that they intended sending in to the candidates who were writing the exam here.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. The fate of over 600,000 people currently writing the Basic Education Certificate examination hangs in the balance tonight, with the West Africa Examinations Council warning it does not have the funds to mark and process the examination papers. 2 papers are already done, with at least 7 more to go. But WAEC reveals government has fallen short of releasing all the funds it needs. We are learning only 15% of the funds needed by WAEC has been released. We'll hear from WAEC shortly, but first, in the last few hours, John is learning of the arrest of at least 4 students by the police for allegedly engaging in exam malpractices. Head of Public Affairs at WAEC, John Kapi, give the following details.
Yes, we've received a few reports from the Ashanti region where one individual was picked up where he was trying to approach the examination hall with some prepared material for the candidates. We've also picked somebody up from Tema West, that's Tema Central actually, where the lady had a tablet that had some information that she intended passing on to the candidates. In the central region, Dunkonofin, to be specific, we've picked up 2 people who were answering the questions in the middle of the paper that they intended sending in to the candidates who were writing the exam here. Well, these are criminal cases according to our rules and regulations governing the conduct of the examination. And anybody who breaches any of these rules, what we do is we simply report you to the law enforcement agencies. They apply our rules, and then they are charged. They are sent to court.
And you heard that John Kapi is the head of public affairs at WAEC. Well, the arrest is happening on the day when we heard a lot from authorities about the stringent measures they are implementing this year to prevent students from cheating in the exam hall. In the past, we've had instances where whole exam papers have had to be cancelled because of acts such as we're now hearing. I want to take it to the Ashanti region where the measures have been out and been enforced strictly. I want to bring in Nana Yaujuma, who's been observing that for us tonight. Nana, you went to some of the centres. You spoke to some of the officials, including the NACA, the Curriculum Authority, and they were very certain that this year we shouldn't have the cases where we've had in the past where papers are cancelled because the measures will make it impossible for students to cheat. And we are seeing already that arrests are currently happening. What can you report in terms of what you saw at the examination centres?
So according to the NACA head, they have stringent measures in place to ensure that these exam papers do not leak. And these measures were adopted last year. It worked to perfection. So they believe that since they've added on these measures, it should be able to work this year as well. They say they have a system they call serialization of the question papers. And what they do is that the question papers are not the same for the students, even those sitting in the same exam room. So it will be difficult for students to cheat in the exam. And even by the measures that they've put in place, it will be very difficult for any syndicate interested in getting access to these question papers and linking it to the students to be able to operate. So, though he will not review the exact measures in place, he says they are very stringent and it will be very difficult for the exam to leak.
You agree with me? Last year we couldn't experience those malpractices based upon the measures that were put in place. There were a whole lot of things. Some of them we can't mention them. But among them is that serialization, that versions. So you can have 3 versions being operated on within one center, and so you are not sure which one your close neighbor is doing. And the serialization can be done even in the various centers. We one of the things that we realized that before even the results or the questions come, there's a cartel that will normally find a way of getting it. But because of the serialization, they couldn't do it. I mean, last year, almost all the system went down right from the beginning, and we are doing that. Beyond this, there are other things which we will not be able to tell you in public. But by and large, we think that these measures have helped. Once we were able to succeed last year, we think that we can improve upon even that one this year.
And Nana, you've seen these measures in force.
Exactly. So when we went to the exams halls, we realized that some of the students, the questions are not the same per the serialization method that has been put in place. So that is what we observed today. And also the policemen and other invigilators were strict on the ground.
Thank you very much. And what we are seeing across the country, obviously, is a strict enforcement. I want to bring in spokesperson for WAEC, who joins us on the line right now. Kapi, I'm grateful for your time here on Top Story, joining us with thoughts on what is happening today across the country. John Kapi speaks for the West Africa Examinations Council, is the head of public affairs. They're also joining us from Parliament is the ranking on the Education Committee there, Peter Nochu, on the back of the funding challenges that WAEC is having to deal with tonight. John, let me start with you on the subject of the arrest you've made today alone. Is that an indication that the measures you put in place this time is working?
Thank you very much, Evans, for having me, and thank you. Good evening to your listeners. Yes, the measures we put in place are working because we have our monitors across the country, almost at every center in the country. And so I believe that, yes, the measures we put in place are working.
You told us at the last, when we checked with you the last time, at least 4 people have been arrested so far. Do you have an update on that?
Yeah, so far it is still the 4. We are still gathering reports from our officers in the field, and probably by tomorrow morning we may have a larger number than we have right now.
And you're organizing these elections amidst some difficult financial circumstances. From what you've told us, you've only received 15% of what you need to complete the entire exam process, correct?
That's correct.
When you say the entire exam process, this will also include processing and marking of the papers that are currently being written by the students?
Yes, that is correct.
But I wonder, the budgeting process would have happened quite some time ago before now. I mean, was there a delay in that process?
No, there's no delay. WAEC always has a calendar of activities. And as I speak, we've already done our budget for 2024, which means that it's almost about a year before the examinations begin. And this budget we always communicate with the Ministry of Education, with the Ghana Education Service. Remember that the Director General of the Ghana Education Service is also the chairman of the WAEC board. So obviously, it won't be any delays from our part because we do these things about a year, almost a year, to the next examinations.
And have you had any clear feedback from government yet when the remainder of the amount will come through?
Well, for now, no, we haven't got any or received any information from them as to when the next tranche of payments will be made.
So when you say 15% is what you got, in real terms, How much exactly are you expecting now to come in before you can complete the process?
I do not have the figures right now, but what I can tell you is that so far for BEC, we've received just about 10.5 million Ghana cedis. We need, so we have about 85% of the money we need. I don't have the actual figures in front of me right now as I speak with you.
And you say you need that so that you can mark and you can also process the papers once you're done. Is this unusual, though, that at the time that you were starting the exams, like you started exams, you don't have the full amount in? Is it the first time you're experiencing that, or this is something that happens in the past?
No, for the past year and 2 years, yes, we've experienced this. We've had to go back and forth. We are promised monies, and then we have to wait for the monies to be brought. Again, if you recall, we still have some areas to pay as at about a couple of weeks ago, which means that last year a similar thing occurred. As I speak, we still have about 9.9 million citizen areas for WAEC 2022. So that tells you that this is not the first time it has happened.
So you actually have arrears that have still not been settled on top of what you're owed for this particular examinations.
That is correct.
So how have you been operating?
Well, we literally it's been hand to mouth. I mean, as and when funds are brought in, we look at areas that are urgent, and then we settle those ones and wait until we get another, tranche of payment from the government.
Please stay with me. Let me quickly bring in Peter Nochu, who is on the Education Committee. Mr. Nochu, has this come to your attention at the committee level? We are talking about the futures of 600,000 people here who are sitting today hoping that they will get clarity quickly so they can move on with their lives. Now we're hearing there's a lot of uncertainty now whether those papers will be marked and processed.
Yeah, thank you very much, and Evans, and good evening to you. Yeah, a few weeks or a couple of weeks ago, I raised this issue of government's indebtedness to the West African Examinations Council in respect to the two examinations that they are to conduct this year. That is the BC and then the WAEC. October last year, getting to November, before we went on recess in December, and the WAEC appeared before the committee with their budget. And by what figures they gave us, they expected to register about 445,536 public candidates. And each of them will approve 170 cedis per candidate. So that would have given them 97.1 million Ghana cedis to conduct the BEC this year. Now, as the gentleman said, they said they were given 10.5 million, leaving a balance of 86.6 million to be given to them. If this money is not given to them, they will find it very difficult to continue with the examination process. The examination, it is not only the writing of the papers. There are a lot of activities that must be engaged. Collation of a lot of things, information. Those who print the question papers, those who print the answer booklets for them. Then those who set the questions, the other things that they do. All these things will come out of the 97.1 million series that was approved by Parliament for them. Last year, we had to talk before 70 million was released to them. And this year, we had to talk so much again. They are still owing the WASE for 2022. So if money is not released early enough, I don't know how examiners will manage. Because if they work for you and you don't pay them, what moral courage will you have again to ask them to come and work for you? Now, if you look at that of even the WASE, which has also started with the practicals and orals, the public candidates will be about 340,747. And each candidate was to pay 381 cedis 24 pesos. That will give them about 163.9 million. So the two examinations, the government will have to give WAEC 261 million so that they can conduct the examination from the time of setting the questions, proofreading, everything so that they can do it. So if you look at their budgets, you see that WAEC is not a profit-making organization. They are only to run even. But if money is not released to them on time, they find it very difficult to do their work. So they have to do some of the things on credit, like the printing of booklets and all those things. And investigations also show that it's the private candidates who pay full for the content examination that they use at times to prepare for the examination. So without the private candidates paying fully for the examination, it will be difficult for WAEC to conduct the examination. So I think government must be responsible enough to look at it that, no, if we don't pay WAEC or we don't release money to them in time, they will not be able to conduct the examinations. So government and the finance ministry should release money. These exams will end on Friday, and they must go in, mark quickly, release the results in time so that the academic year can begin early. So, Evan, these are the challenges WAEC is facing, and if government does not come in as quickly as possible, I don't think they can continue to do the remaining processes as leading to the release of the results.
I mean, John, the exams should wrap up on Friday. How soon after that do you hope to go straight into marking and processing the papers?
Marking is certainly not going to start immediately afterwards because we'll also be conducting the WAS. We'll finish with the processing of the WAS before we start. So it may take us about 2.5 months to start processing the marking and then the results. Yeah.
You say that you have to also sit for the WASI. You have to supervise the WASI to be done before you go into marking of the
exactly.
pieces?
Yes,
okay.
That's what I said.
Okay, good. So what does that mean for the WASI? Do you have the funds to print the papers and for the students to sit?
Well, again, for the WAS, yes, we've been able to print. We are still in the process of printing some of the papers. We have already started with some of the practical papers. So, yes, we would be able to conduct the exam, but then the processes that will go on from there would require some further funds from the government.
And the ranking on the Education Committee talks about the fact that sometimes you're having to now print these papers on credit. Is that what is happening?
Well, yes, because we have to buy bond paper for printing. You have to buy some other printing stationery, and all of these cost money. So we have suppliers who have provided some goods, some items to us, and we are paying them in bits.
So you also owe your suppliers?
Absolutely, yes.
Are they fine still printing for you on credit? Or some are threatening to pull out?
It's the printing stationery. I mean, you have a lot of consumables at the printing press, and these we ask them to supply. We also have other items like answer booklets that we send. We have pencils that we give out to candidates. All of these are supplied by our suppliers, and these we pay for afterwards. So we still owe some of our suppliers a lot of money, yeah.
What about the examiners who supervise and mark the papers? You owe them too?
So for now, we've been able to clear the arrears that we owed. I think about a couple of weeks or about 3 weeks ago, we settled the arrears that we owed the examiners. So going into this year again, if we don't get any more money, the same may repeat itself.
And I'm curious, when you had raised this with government, what has been the reaction, the response? Is it that money isn't there now, so wait?
Well, yeah, you probably would have a response like, we are working on it, you know. So it's not a case where you have somebody who owes you can compel them to give you whatever they owe you when you need it. You know, so you present your case and they tell you, all right, we'll attend to you. So after when they attend to us, fine, we take it.
Okay. Peter Notri, you are on the committee level. Have you had any briefing? And I wonder what government has told you when you asked the questions. I know you raised it in Parliament. What were you told about why the funds have delayed?
Well, I can say that when I raised the issue, the only response I had from the minister was, we have released money to them. And when I found out it was 15 million, I said that 15 million cannot do anything. They're going to pay arrears to examiners that they owe. Now they have contracted suppliers and a lot of things. They have to create depots transportation, and those things. The 50 million you have given them, they will use about 9 or 10 million to pay arrears. 40 million, how is it going to conduct these examinations? So the assurance they go, we are working on it. We are working on it. Before they finish the examination, money will be released to them. And that is the usual answer they give you.
But from what I were told earlier by John, it turns out to be that each time they are promised, they seem to get the money in the nick of time to mark, process, and release the results. So I guess between now and the time when you finish with the WAEC 2, the money would have come in?
Yeah, and for the committee, we will continue to talk on their behalf. I normally follow their activities. So we will be talking on their behalf to make sure that monies are released to them on time to enable them finish the remaining processes for the exams results to be released early enough. But if we just relax that, they are going to give them money, they may not do it. So we will continue to advocate for WAEC because it's an international organization and Ghana should not be seen as defaulting in her responsibility towards the organization.
And you raised a very important point about the WAEC being an international organization. John, this is a West African examination, particularly the WAEC. Considering the challenges you're having, how are you there? How is it affecting your ability to supervise an exam that, of course, meets the standards you set, not only in Ghana, but the other WAEC countries?
Well, for now, this year, as we speak, it's only Ghana that is organizing the exam at this time. The other member countries have already finished with theirs because they've gone back to the April-May examination period. So as a result, they've done theirs already. So it's left with Ghana to complete theirs.
So it hasn't had any impact at all, these delays in the amounts and the funding on your ability to meet the standards that you've set across the sub-region?
Oh, no. As for the standards, we maintain them because we also have our experts who come in to do the moderating of questions for us. The difficulty we have now is, being able to pay as and when we engage our examiners, being able to pay as and when we engage invigilators, those are the things that we have difficulties with. But we still maintain all the standards. Everything is still done according to the rules set by WAEC International, yeah.
And by the way, we've tried to check with the Education Ministry on this. They're not available for comments right now. They've asked us to ask the GES. GES is running some checks to see if they can get some clarity on when exactly WAEC will receive the funds to ensure that they can actually go ahead and mark the papers and issue the results for the students currently sitting this exam today. And John, as far as the exams itself is concerned, we know in the past there's been challenges of exam leakage leading to cancellation of results. You put in place some measures this time to try and stop that from happening. And I see that my reporters are reporting that you have police officers even at the centers.
Yeah, we've always had police officers at the centers. That's not a new thing. But then on our own, at the point of printing, we've engaged the service of the National Investigative Bureau. They've been with us throughout the period. We have also independent monitors that we have engaged and who are at almost all the centers, let me say so, almost all the centers across the country, so that we'll be able to maintain some sanity. So on our part, we've done what we can do, but when it gets out there, we need everybody's contribution to ensure that we succeed in this exercise. And
in the past, the challenge have also been that sometimes the examiners, the invigilators themselves, conspire with the students. You've talked about at least 4 arrests today. Any of the people you've arrested member of the invigilating body?
So far, no. The reports that we've received do not indicate that. One person, posed as an invigilator, but upon interrogation, he confessed that he was not an invigilator, but then he attempted, sending some material to the candidates in the examination hall.
And has been arrested as a result of that.
Yeah, he's been arrested, yes.
And WAEC is pushing for full prosecution of these individuals, correct? If it's proving that indeed they had attempted to engage in a mock practice.
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Nochu, happy with the interventions that WAEC is rolling out to avert another leakage scandal?
Oh, yeah. Every year when we meet with WAEC, they give us assurance that the examination process will go through smoothly. They are doing their best to eliminate malpractices. And last year, the report we had was very encouraging. And we share in their efforts to make sure that we have malpractices-free examination, even including the serialization of the questions and all those things. So we are happy with them. And they should not leave any stone unturned in fighting examination malpractices. They have the full support of the committee, and we will continue to dialogue with them so that we don't record malpractices as it used to be in the past. So they are doing very well, and they need encouragement. That's why government must always make sure that they receive whatever is due them to enable them deliver good examination conduct for us, so that our certificates and whatever certificates are issued are given the international recognition that they deserve and continue to be recognized.
Peter Nochu, thank you very much. And John Kapi speaks for WAEC tonight. If you're just joining us, and your ward is part of the 600,000 writing the basic education certificate examination today. You've heard WAEC, you're having challenges with funding from government that is threatening the ability to mark and process those papers so they can issue the results for your wards. You're hoping the government will come clean and clear and clarify when the monies will come in for that to happen. And today, at least 4 people have also been arrested by police at various exam centers engaged allegedly in exam malpractice. We're yet to get clarity from the Education Ministry and the GES on when exactly the monies will be released to WAEC to complete this process that began today. Once we get some clarity on that, you can bet we'll bring that to you. This is Top Story.